have three speakers, Vanishree, Gautam and Brother Shaheb. The subject is very subtle and the speakers are also very advanced. So we will have a rich menu before us. The first speaker will be Vanishree from Karnataka Federation. She comes from a family of ardent Theosophists. I have known her for quite some time because whenever I visited Karnataka and I had to speak in English, she would be translating. In fact, she has done a number of translations. She is assistant professor of biochemistry. She only wanted to be introduced as a member of Theosophical Society. So please disregard all this and consider her as a member of Theosophical Society. So Vanishree.
The most respected Honorable International President, Brother Timboy, and Vice President, Dr. Chittaranjan Satpathy, sir, General Secretary of Indian Section, Brother S. Sundaram, Mrs. Manju Sundaram, and Chairman of my symposium, Brother P.K. Jayaswal, sir, and my co-speakers, and my loving brothers and sisters across the world. Good morning. As my chairman introduced today morning, the theme of our symposium is subtle and deep. I wholeheartedly welcome all of you to not to be listeners but my co-travelers in the light of truth, which we are all trying to live after listening to those what the luminous radiance the speech cannot communicate. As members of Theosophical Society, we always emphasize truth-seeking, which is central to our human journey. The first object of our society, universal brotherhood, implies unconditioning of mind, and the second object urges us to love truth and to live it. We are living in an era of ever-increasing knowledge. To know what is essential amidst affluence, to live a simple, healthy, skillful, sensitive and well-organized life enables a meaning and purpose. It helps to conserve energy and further ourselves to live to benefit mankind. Absolute truth is pure knowing. The seeker merges in vast and eternal, in which there is no duality. Only one, the one unity, which is said to be the voice of the silence, is heard when separative sense is absent. Let us see how activity and silence can coexist. Take for example the tiny seeds of banyan tree. When it grows and shoots up into a plant, in the long run it becomes a mighty tree. During the entire process, there is tremendous activity which is invisible to the onlooker. So it happens, it appears as though there is silence, but the silence and activity coexist in a complementary manner. Knowing is an important component of human society and human activity. It is based on experience, memory, reasoning, and knowledge constitutes a reflection of things within the mind of things as they are. Countless experiences, pains, pleasures, gains, and successes. To gain a glimpse of the truth underlying those apparently meaningless, visible phenomena, an intuition of cosmic justice and order is necessary. The universal laws of nature can only be understood by the inner sense. As the veils are removed, each time the truth is seen in fuller light and in greater depth. It is a living power. Otherwise, we are merely quoting words, expounding concepts, and comparing only. Beauty is one of the ways in which truth manifests. The truth manifests itself as beauty, but a person grasps as truth or beauty depends on his other own state of consciousness. To those who can perceive, every atom is indeed vibrant with life. Every creature shines with the light of the Supreme, and cosmic love embraces all in oneness, as stated in the most inspiring invocation of Dr. Annie Besant. Truth is not a static experience. It is the power that maketh all things new. Being in truth is the experience of the divine joy and love that is reality. It's a blessed state of consciousness, subtle and deep. How to have this blessed state of consciousness? The means have been pointed out and guidelines have been given for consciousness to be made pure and clear. As one of the Mahatmas wrote, the qualifications for illuminations have been known from most ancient times. We have to adopt the necessary discipline to awaken our inner senses in order to live the truth. The precious theosophical literature, if we study and listen deeply to discover their full import and implications, the love of truth occupies central place in our hearts. Transformation takes place within us from being personal to realizing the universal. Truth is that which illumines and gives meaning to all that is at every level of being. By learning to live in this enlightenment, our life becomes spiritually fruitful and truly harmonious. The harmony which is true flows from ourselves. It is a feeling of non-separatedness and of integration of all different constituents of our nature, such as body, mind, emotions, and intuition. Lord Buddha taught that whatever way of life results in beneficial effects, the maximum happiness, peace and love for all will lead towards right knowledge. And goodwill for all is most important. Living in very source of one fundamental truth, the universal spiritual essence of nature, it is unity. When limitation and significance of knowledge is grasped, we move steadily, continually towards a state of progress. It expands, many wonderful things are achieved. There are immense depths of existence beyond the measurable and the known. To quote from Sir Edwin Arnold's The Light of Asia, measure not with words the immeasurable, unquote. The wise person knows that he does not know. After listening to Lord Buddha, a king wanted to discard his kingdom to follow Lord Buddha. Lord said, "O king, do not do this. I will really tell you the essential teaching of all the Buddhas, and that is, do not do evil, do helpful deeds always, and cleanse your own heart." And similarly, once a baker who was running a bread bakery, after listening to the sermon given by Lord Christ to follow, he wanted to leave his profession. And the Lord Christ said to him, "When a person comes to your shop to buy bread, giving hard-earned money, add your love and affection into it." And Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." Therefore, it is how inspiring is to learn from the glorious lives fearlessly lived as Hypatia and Giordano Bruno of our most loved Dr. Annie Besant. She was condemned to death for being in truth in one of her lives by oyster shells, which led to her death, but the glory of the truth continued in the next life as she lived another life in Italy. Then again a glorious death was given, but she continued following the truth throughout her life, and in the end she only gave the message. She lived to follow truth. Therefore, there will be a turning point interlinked with our spiritual progress, wherein we are not truth, we are not following truth, we will be in the truth itself, and that illumination takes away the meager ego, and that let that light shine and radiate through everyone's heart and spread the message of Theosophy in the coming days, because it is as illuminating today, and it will be tomorrow, and it will be for the times to come. I thank my chairperson and also my General Secretary, Brother S. Sundaram, for giving me an opportunity to share this light with you all.
Thank you, Vanishree, for very comprehensive coverage. I now request S.S. Gautam to present his views. He joined Theosophical Society in 1975, and after working as the director of He retired as Director Industrial Hygiene and in charge of Major Hazard and Chemical Safety Division in 2010. And presently he is based in Kanpur and has been very much engaged in Theosophical propagation. She is one of the national lecturers of the Indian section, and I had an association with him since long, because once when we conducted a program at Bhavali, I was a co-director with Dr. Kannan. He used to speak in English and prepared a number of papers in English, and he wanted that this would be also translated in Hindi. It was Gautam who translated all in Hindi, and that helped me to present the sessions in Hindi. So now I request Brother Gautam to tell us how he approaches the subject knowing and being.
Thank you, Jaswal ji, and fellow speakers, my brothers and sisters. I would like to first of all thank the Indian section to give me this opportunity to have a face-to-face with you. The talk of today I have prepared in PowerPoint also, and I will request you to give few moments to start our talk. In the meantime, our PowerPoint will come. I think that light should be removed, this one. Or you can turn it somewhere. Okay. Gentlemen, the subject that is taken for this as a theme of this session is knowing and being, or knowing is being. Knowing is knowing and being, and it is commonly understood that knowing is easier and being is a bit difficult. I have done my own thinking on this subject for a long time and tried to develop this article which I am going to present today. I would like to start with the legend of Mahabharata. The Guru Drona teaches to all the princes of the Kuru family and gives a lesson, Satyam Vad, speak truth. And then he gives a few minutes and asks people to respond whether they have learnt it. So everybody except Yudhishthira, they immediately repeated Satyam Vad. But Yudhishthira told that I have not been able to learn so far, so please give me some more time. Then again on the next morning when they came, the same question was asked by the Guru, and then he told, no, I have not been able to learn, please give me some more time. So like that he postponed for 15 days, and after 15 days he told Satyam Vad. Then everybody laughed that he took 15 days to learn these two words. Then Guru asked him, what prevented you to not memorize it within few minutes? He said, it is not the question of memorizing. Since I was taught this lesson, I started practicing to be truthful, and every day there used to be some mistake, and that's why I did not consider that I have learned. So now for one complete 24 hours I have not spoken a single lie, so now I can consider myself that I have learned Satyam Vad. Dear friend, this is the process. So then, see what I want to infer, that this is the process of learning for persons who are aspiring to enter the path. That means anything which is not gone, rather I would try to give an example that in computers we generally copy a program in one of the files or folders and then we install it. So learning is like copying and installing is being when the computer starts working in its commands. So let us install things in our systems and then they are useful for the theosophical purpose. Otherwise we are not different from the people of the philosophy. The professors of philosophy I have seen, though they are professors of philosophy, but they are just pygmies as far as their moral character is concerned. And when we look at in theosophical perspectives, knowing is learning theosophy and being is to become a theosophy. SPB indicated in practical occultism It is not responding. It is not responding. It is not responding. So gentlemen, SPB has indicated in practical occultism that for being a theosophist, it is not essential to know the classical theosophy. And this brings about a conclusion that becoming a theosophist is not a function of learning. Instead, it has something to do with its transformation of the knowledge into action. And this can come right since the birth also. One can be a born theosophist. So, it is that installation as I indicated, the system should be embedded with those things. And this is the reason that there is a great difference in gaps between known and done among different persons, and this is why the master writes to C.W. Leadbeater that your provision can be from 7 seconds to 7 lives, because he inquired from him in a letter that I want to be your chela and whether I have to come and live in your ashrama for 7 years. Then he got a reply that a provision can be of 7 seconds to 7 lives, and for your information, you are my chela. So gentlemen, this difference is only because of the difference between learning and being. But the gap between knowing and being is an essential aspect of evolving human beings. It is this gap which inspires a man to march forward. Known is the ideal and being is the extent to which the ideal has been realized. The ideal is not a static object. It keeps changing. By the time one reaches closer to the ideal, it recedes back like a mirage.
Leave it. It is not working. It's wasting a lot of time.
Oh, this is the first itself. हाँ नीचे व्यू कंप्लीट व्यू स्क्रीन व्यू नहीं स्क्रीन व्यू कर दीजिए हाँ ठीक है ओके यू मेक इट स्मॉलर दिस इज पॉसिबल See, it was told, it is generally understood that knowing is easy and being is difficult. But somehow I feel that even knowing is very difficult. If you look into the world, such a great population of the world, and we have merely 26,000, about 25,000 members of the Theosophical Society, and even all of them may not be considered to be the knowers. So the people who are keen to listen to us are very, very few. I have been trying in my people who are coming around me to somehow introduce them to the theosophical facts. But generally so much of apathy towards this kind of learning is there that I find it very, very difficult to let people know. And of course, but it is not. And this is the very reason that there is a lot of diversity among the capabilities of the people, and one can know only according to the stage of his evolution, and this is the main cause of the diversity in the specialities and capabilities of the different persons in the world. It is this cause that is responsible for varying degree of enthusiasm towards the theosophical truths among masses. When learning takes place, it's a very complex process. The persons who know are rare, and those who try to become that which they know are still rarer. Becoming something that is known is a complicated process because this involves association of ego or jivatma. And I think this word ego or jivatma does not, it's not a new word for theosophists. You know, even the very symbol of us, which says the two triangles, one upward triangle and one below downward triangle. The upward triangle is normally considered to be the jivatma, which is the permanent entity of the totality of the human being, which survives the death and birth. So when a matter known by personality becomes a conviction, it can be assumed that resonance with jivatma has taken place. Resonance word is a very common word in the present day, and it is the resonance which has given us the communication. Today everybody has got a mobile phone. Anybody from any part of the world or even from the other planets, if he puts that number and that comes to you and that your mobile starts resonating and giving the bell, exactly same thing happens. If something which is present in the jivatma is being contemplated by the mind, there is a resonance between the two, and the signal gets amplified and you have the great vibration, and that makes a conviction. It is in the theosophical terminology, knowing is the process of personality and becoming is the stage of resonance with jivatma, the higher triangle. Still, personality is not teaching jivatma. Can personality really teach jivatma? This is my question. Whether the personality can teach jivatma. I don't think personality can teach jivatma. Jivatma has already those vibrations present in it. The moment the personality contemplates or thinks about that, the resonance takes place and a route starts from jivatma to the personality. It is like a student who becomes united with his teacher by following his teaching sincerely. In the same way, the thoughts which are akin to the Jivatma become friendly to the Jivatma and they dominate in the personality. How this communication is possible? What is the process of linking the personality with the Jivatma? He learns a thought externally and holds it in his mind for sufficient period. It so resonates with the innermost in him that it becomes important in his life instantaneously. Every experience of life, when placed in the mind, either gets amplified or gets rejected. And this amplification of those vibrations in the personality which are present deep within is the alchemy which takes place, and the person gets transformed from knowing to being. Complete faith in the theosophical facts brings about certain definite changes in his life, and as we acquire them, our faith deepens and the rate of progress increases. We shall dwell upon the transformations that takes place when one's knowledge gets realized. A knower bears a lot of responsibility. It is said by Dr. Besant in her small treatise, Theosophical Life, that if a person does not become wiser and more active after his theosophical studies, he is worse than an ordinary person. Bible also indicates that the sin of person who knows yet does not respond at the moment when his help is desirable is greater than a person who does not know. This puts a great responsibility on the members to avoid his sins of omissions and to be proud of his knowledge, but not using it when the opportunity offers is a sin of omission. The knowledge of the fact that the real man who dwells in his house of physical, astral and mental layers is a deathless and eternal entity. This has been proclaimed in the Theosophy. This knowledge is the light which draws one from the great darkness. It is this that can relieve him from the fear of death, impregnated in all these sentient beings. And it is if one has the total faith in this fact, one will realize that death cannot stop the process of evolution. Death is the essential part of the evolution. Death only starts a phase of assimilation, of harvest gathered during a short life. We shall come again and again till there is something with this earth to offer to Jivatma. The prayer Tamso Ma Jyotirgamay, Asato Ma Sadgamay, or Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamay. Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamay means I want to get away from the death and reach the deathlessness. And this gets fulfilled when one rightly grasps the lesson of reincarnation. One of the great misery of the world is fear of losing the kin and kith. Theosophy reveals that once a relation as friend or foe is established in any birth, the link is so formed that a permanent union is established. And even the foe, even the enemy, he ultimately becomes a friend. Then only there is mukti, and before that there is no mukti. So there will not be any time in future when a man or his kin and kith will not be there. They are together forever. So no more mourning and lamenting is there for Theosophists. I remember a song sung by one American singer, Dinah Ross. We are together forever, forever. Nothing can break us, nothing can shake us. We are together forever, forever. Love is like etching in the heart. So that gets reminded eventually. Faith in the knowledge of law of karma provides complete rest from anxieties of the world, and it is this law that explains the perfect divine justice. It functions in the total lifespan of Jivatma and not in a single life. The virtue of titiksha, the uninterrupted pleasure, cannot be achieved but by the complete understanding of everything in the world governed by this law. From this conviction alone can arise the capacity to lift the heavy karma of the world, karmic waves pulsating from numerous lives, amplifying in each cycle by sympathetic responses, can be absorbed only by drinking the cup of poison of our own creation and holding it in the throat without disturbing the harmony within. And this is what a Theosophist has to do. Let me repeat it. Whenever the past karmas, which no doubt have been created by us, they hit us, if we give response to them in the similar fashion as we have been giving in the previous births, they will again revert back and come back again in the future lives. And if we absorb them, bear them patiently without reacting, that karma will be lost forever. So let all our events be submerged in this birth and no more created in this birth also. Another aspect. Absorbing the old karmic waves and creating none is the only tool to peace and eternal harmony. Law of karma tells us that the structures of events of our lives are formed even before the birth. Once it is finalized, even the greatest devas cannot change it. The guiding principle of preparing this structure is the qualities targeted to be developed in coming birth, and the material used are from the individual's own storehouse and instructions to the devas that no event should be too heavy for a person to be born. These three are the basic directives while forming the structure of the life that is called prarabdha karma. And after knowing this fact, a Theosophist does not look for the causes of the events that are happening in this life, because he knows that they are coming from the backside.
You have to close it.
Is it? Okay. Having known the process of evolution active in every form of life, we perceive the objective of human life, and when we know that, then all that harvest which people eventually get at the end of life by trial and error, if we start culturing, we can take the result of several births into a single life. I don't want to go in complete paper of mine. You may find in the website, but at the end I would like to conclude one more quotation from at the feet of the Master, and Master warns Krishnamurti to don't get lost in the knowledge and be very discriminative in selecting what you study. He says, God is wisdom as well as love, and the more wisdom you have, the more you can manifest of Him. And one should discriminate in studies. All knowledge is useful, and one day you will have all knowledge, but while you can have only part, take care that it is the most useful part. So if we are discriminative in reading and learning, then we will see that with our limited energy to learn, we can go more concentrated in the Theosophical studies and install them into our system. And this will make it the learning like Yudhishthira. And thanks once more for giving me this opportunity.
Wait, sir. Let me introduce you first. Shaheb Patro is a professor of English for a number of years, and he has written a book, Infinity and Beyond. I think this title itself will give you an idea that probably he is going to talk something which will take us to infinity and beyond. Patro.
Well, again, revered International President, Brother Boyd, never mind in absentia, Chairperson, Brother Jaiswal, my co-speakers, sisters and brothers. Roger Bacon, in his essay On Truth, says, if you ask me, I know not, but I know if you ask me not. That is truth. As I walked by myself, I talked to myself, and myself replied to me. And the questions myself then put to myself with the answers I gave to thee. Unless we see ourselves as we are, we simply postulate illusion. A questioning mind, an observing mind, an inquiring mind, the spirit of inquiry is essential for understanding one's own real self. To comprehend the mysteries of the marvelous nature, the cosmic truth, the unity and harmony of life within and without. The mystics call it the ground of being. Being, I quote. Life is something extraordinary, wide and profound, and it is a great mystery, a vast realm in which we function as just human beings. We must work with ourselves and on ourselves in order that every step forward is an extension of consciousness that is knowing and a transformation of consciousness that is being. Theosophy is ancient wisdom insofar as it sincerely teaches what is known to be true and enables us to be the truth. Only when who you are is no more that you cease to identify yourself with your knowing, that you have transformed yourself into being. We have to ascend to the Buddhic plane, because that's only for the plane there the possibility of being. When all the bonds of this heart are broken, then this mortal puts on immortality, say the Upanishads. When to himself his form appears unreal, as do on waking all the forms he sees in dreams, when he has ceased to hear the many, he may discern the one, the inner sound that kills the outer, HPB. I am silence among the secrets, the Gita. And Plato called it passing from the phenomenal world to the noumenal world, Noumel, to the noumenal world. We are all concerned with the changing phenomena and do not see the noumena. Hold fast to that which has neither substance nor existence. Listen only to the voice which is soundless. Light on the path. Koan in Jain Buddhism is a brief paradoxical statement used as a discipline in meditation. When both hands are clapped, a sound is produced. Listen to the sound produced by one hand clapping. These things are spiritually discerned, said St. Paul. When the mind is perfectly still, not rippled by the world affairs, it will reflect the glory of the self, said Patanjali. The mind is perfectly still, not rippled by the worldly affairs. The cream, the butter is in the milk, indistinguishable. But when it is churned, the cream comes up, leaving the whey below. The body and the soul are like the whey and the cream. Even the highest revelations are worth no more than the power of realization, or Atmanubhuti, that comes with them. Thus, life be studied most devotedly, lived most divinely. Theosophy would better be treated as a study in axiology, Axiology. In individual pursuit of perfection lies the acorn of world redemption. Religion addresses the mind, addresses the heart. Science addresses the mind, whereas spirituality addresses the soul. Religion is not theory of God. It's a spiritual consciousness, an oracular resonance. There is quite a difference between contact with reality and the opinion about it, between the mystery of godliness and belief in God. While realization is a fact, the theory of reality is just an inference. Theories can be disputed, but facts cannot be denied. True wisdom is different from much learning. Much learning means little wisdom. It elicits to deprogram acquired knowledge. The daunting task is not to learn as much as to unlearn in order to be the truth. Prophet Muhammad equated a pedant, book learner, to an ass carrying a load of books. Put away the books, the description, the tradition, the authority, and take the journey of self-discovery. JK, I am brief. You can go on reading scriptures, but you will get liberation only when you forget the scriptures. Astavakra Gita. Life is easy to chronicle, but bewildering to practice. I mean E.M. Foster. Truth is always half said, half understood, when it is expressed in words. Hermann Hirsch in the Siddhartha. It is with the inner ear that we hear the voice of the silence, or the higher self, the spiritual soul, as it is often called by HPB. We are all prisoners, imprisoned in a cell with only 5 windows of the senses by which we see the world. Then we have skylights, which are conceptions we make from these sense perceptions. When are we to come face to face with whole reality? After escaping from the little cell, God within cannot be apprehended by the eyes, by words, by any of the senses, by mortification of flesh, or by rituals. When the understanding becomes clear and the essential character becomes purified, then in meditation one realizes the one and only God. Mundok Upanishad. Master Keach points out, you can know the real from the unreal, the true from the false, by consciously guarding against the causes of self-deception, by purification of your motives, the study and correction of your faults. If you have any intuition, you will work out cause and effect, and perhaps realize whence the failure. Truth recedes to the background when the speaker about truth is very much in the foreground, brother and Sri Ram. Truth is God's decree, and hence there is no religion higher than truth. Truth is a pathless land. It's easy to know, but most difficult to obtain, to be truth. Life is not just about finding yourself, it's also about creating yourself in the light of truth. Man can come to it through observations, through the understanding of the contents of his own mind, and not through intellectual analysis or introspective dissection. Truth is ubiquitous in being, rather than in knowing. Insight into truth is unmediated, direct, when the mind ceases to describe, ascertain, or label it. The content of his consciousness is his entire existence, J.K. The adept sees and feels and lives in the very source of all fundamental truths. The adept becomes, he is not made. To know is good, to live be better, and to be that perfection, to be that is perfection, the mother. Srima. Truth is to be found in living truth as it transforms the mind and consciousness, said Picasso. The journey of self-realization is the only true journey to the inner recesses of our mind. The unexamined self is not worth living, said Socrates. The end of life is to be unto like God, and the soul following God will be like unto Him. Ram and Lakshman knocked on the door, cottage door of Guru Vasishtha once in a fine morning, obviously to be asked from inside who you are. Before opening the door, both the brothers responded unequivocally from the threshold outside, that is why we have come. The real evil proceeds from human intelligence, and its origin rests entirely with the reasoning man who dissociates himself from nature. The purpose and meaning of life is a mystery. However, the key to finding answers to questions about the mystery of life lies in self-knowledge, Atma-bodha, as Shankar calls it. All transcendental things will be known when one gets the knowledge of the self. Madame Besant says, there is no life without consciousness, and no consciousness without life. We have called consciousness turned inward by the name of life, and life turned outward by the name of consciousness. Theosophy regards all sacred books as inferior to the book of nature on account of the human element contained in it. Nothing else in nature takes time off to think about what it does. The trees, the animals, do not know that they are intelligent, although they are. It doesn't matter to them either. The butterfly counts not months but moments, and has time enough, still time enough, says Tagore. Men argue, nature acts, Voltaire. A theosophist is in essence a romanticist, like Shelley or Wordsworth, Black or Byron, Keats or Coleridge. For they add strangeness to beauty. The beauty of life, the beauty which is the light in the heart with a sense of wonder and mysticism. Beauty is truth, truth beauty, that's all ye know and all ye need to know, wrote Keats. and M.K. Gandhi's maturation is from God to truth is God. Wisdom is the intellect illumined by intuition, a renaissance of human values. We become enlightened not by imagining figures of light, but by making darkness conscious. Carl G. Jung. There is not enough darkness in the entire world to put out the light for light of one small candle, observed Robert Allen. God and nature are identical in their substance and thus exchangeable. God gives us a chance to reinvent ourselves every morning. Life reveals its beauty at every stage. Witness and enjoy both the ever-changing and never-changing. We can know the life of our own thoughts when we strengthen them regularly and find that they return repeatedly to our awareness. The secret doctrine was surely written to help awaken humanity's intuition, an inner sense which is probably still dormant. Do the right thing because it is the right thing to do, and remember that not getting what you want is sometimes a wonderful stroke of luck. Never does it happen that nature says one thing and wisdom another. Everything is managed on its own, and that is the grace and gift of nature we are all endowed with. Jesus insists on love as the precondition for truth. For truth can be seen only through the eyes of love. Feeling is an intrinsic awareness as heat is to fire. Feeling of righteousness is eternal. Theory of righteousness is ephemeral. Nitas explains the metamorphosis of the spirit. It is the tranquility of the mind that we are able to transmute this false mind of death and rebirth into a clear, intuitive mind and realize the primal, enlightening essence of mind. Theosophy says, use the mind to transcend the mind for an inspired living. You are not this mind, but it is yours to use at the feet of the Master. Be your own witness, and then be the witness yourself in order to be truth. The witness self has to beckon to the dimension beyond transitory. Ancient masters didn't try to educate the people, but kindly taught them to not know. Laozi. Tao, though translated variously as the path, single principle, cannot be adequately understood or explained through the rational or discursive mind. There is that most beautiful understanding of ordinariness and extraordinariness. Being like everything else means you are ordinary, but consciously knowing that you are like everything else is extraordinary. To see the extraordinary in the ordinary is at the heart of being enlightened. It's experiencing the extraordinary moments of prime existence. Gandhiji's autobiography is a quest for ways of attaining absolute truth. He presents all that is noblest in the spirit of man. He was living truth at last. His thoughts, words and deeds are in complete concordance with each other. For him, Satya or Dharma is the science of sustainable living. To him, religion is to morality what water is to the seed that is sown in the soil. Tagore says, truth awakened truth in Gandhi. Like Socrates, he believed that all work is an appeal from the seen to the unseen. Knowing much is ignorance, knowing only one is wisdom, and that's it in truth. Knowing has to function like an osmosis, to be being. Just like gold and diamond that are obtained by much searching and mining, truth can be found connected with our being by digging deep into the mine of our soul. Conscience and consciousness are two flames that enlighten life's journey. A human is not living without consciousness and is not human without conscience. Consciousness in its primary form is only outward awareness. In stabilized state, it is self-referral consciousness, and in pure form, it is our inner world that connects with the divinity that exists everywhere. People have a power as old as the insights of Jesus of Nazareth and as modern as the techniques of Gandhi. HPB describes Antakarana, Manasa, purifies egotism. With Buddhi and Manasa, when Buddhi and Manasa are one, we have passed over the bridge and crossed the bar. Master Hilarion said, courage belongs to the immortal self, who knows himself to be immortal. Only when the mind is without any conformity as a true individual, you know what you are, and that is the being, said J.K. Out of the furnace of man's life and its black smoke, I mean its darkness, ignorance and misery, winged flames arise, flames purified, soaring onward, the soul like a lark flies higher than any other bird, so high that you cannot see. When it is very high, it rests on its wings, and that is the mystic state. And the mind is absolutely steady, and emotions all quiet. We need to live an undivided existence of knowing and being what we know, for division has become humanity's second nature, deeply entrenched in human psyche. We see the world piece by piece, but the whole of which these are the shining parts is the soul. This unthinking artificial division is the basis of all strife. All other disciples, just I will explain in one sentence what Mr. Gautam told at length. All other disciples of Guru Drona advanced in their learning, whereas Yudhishthira was found in profound pondering at the very initial discourses of Satyam Vada before going on to Dharmam Chara, for he wanted to make it out, to internalize the experience. Theosophy implies that there is in human beings a faculty higher than reason, an interior principle. Theosophy, or spiritual intuition through which we can reach the divine being. True knowledge is of the spirit and in spirit alone. Much more is to be left, maybe some other time, some other occasion, but nevertheless the last lines would hopefully all of you realize along with me. Self is power, that self am I. Self is strength, that self am I. Self is peace, that self am I. Self is bliss, that self am I. And self is truth, that self am I. It is the Atma or self, the expansive I that inheres in everyone, the supreme consciousness that inheres in all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patro. We see how time limits our expression. So we have to go beyond time now. That's very necessary. And we have to enter into a consciousness which is timeless. And this is exactly what the topic is, knowing and being. Being means beyond time. To understand this knowing and being, we have to understand the states of consciousness. And it is the initial state of consciousness is the beingness. This then moves to being, and being moves to becoming. And right now we are all in a stage of becoming, so we have to revert back to being before we go to beingness. That's the thing we must understand. Once we understand this, then we can relate it to knowing. Knowing again is the middle of knower, known and knowing, right? And when there is a knower and known, the subject and object is there. And the knowing is the connecting link. When the knower disappears and the known disappear, only knowing remains, then the being takes place. Thank you very much for listening to us.